Hey everybody, welcome to Inktober Livestream for the Comic Tropes channel. Oops, I need to turn on a light here. Here we go. I'm gonna need just a minute. I'm still sort of working out my sketch, but I'm about to start my inking in just a little bit. Maybe that's too big. So, hello, Jesus, and hello, Charles. You guys are you're kind of early. I love it. Thank you. Still fighting a cold. Today's pretty tough, but whatever. It's not that big a commitment to just sit down and draw. So, see how it goes. So the prompt for today is mysterious. Let me shift this a little. Right about there. Okay. Mysterious. Hello, Ghost Dog, and hello, Nintendo. My cold is not so great. I'm feeling pretty under the weather, but you know what? Whatever. That's just how it is. So I'm just blocking out my sketch here, and I'll begin proper in just a minute with the inking. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I think one of the tougher things when you start to have a good form that you like is you're like, oh, I don't want to cover up the details, and you really have to be willing to, because otherwise the drawing doesn't look right. So even though some of this musculature looks good to me, got to cover it up with the right details here. Something like that. That's maybe too bulky. A little quiet here as I'm thinking this one out. I'm still sort of sketching it. Hello, David Smith. Yep, and hello, Anja. Oh, it's pulsing, isn't it? Darn it. All right, hold on. Wait. Oh, it stopped. I'm testing something. It's when the camera tries to focus on the pen being a certain distance from it. Let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. I'm gonna try to pull my camera back a bit. Let's see here. Is that gonna work? It's got the added advantage of you can see a bit more. I'm testing just like whether it'll pulse and stuff while I draw. I don't think so. Hello, CSNG, and hello, Sigamigs. Are you trying to hint at Mysterio's face or just ignore it? I'll be completely ignoring it, but I wanted to block out the proportions so that I wasn't making the dome too small or too big. So I'm just sort of figuring out sort of how that would work. Since this is sort of a light pencil, I can sort of draw a bunch of lines, and then my mind or my eyes will sort of naturally spot the one that looks right, and I can just start darkening that one. Yeah, it's getting closer to what it should be. Let me just I'm going to ask Chrissy, my fiance, if she can help me focus this a little better. I feel like it's not focused very well. So I'm just sending her a message so I don't have to leave. We'll see if she gets it. I'll be right back to answering questions in just a moment, but feel free to ask some, and then I'll look over and I'll see what's up. All right, we'll see if she gets that. Oh, Chrissy, I was wondering if you could help me. I feel like the camera's doing some weird things with focus when I move the pen like this. I didn't know if maybe you knew anything that could help. Let's see. Oh, Kiro's here. Kiro, I've really been wondering how you've been doing. Kiro, I know, is from Puerto Rico, and how are things going there, man? Tell us if you're okay or if there's anything you need. I'm not sure exactly what I could do to help, but I don't want to ignore it. I hope you and your family and friends are hanging in there. It's pretty serious stuff. So let's see, who else? Hello, the technical expert.
I think all you have to do is go ahead and enable the autofocus in OBS and let it focus.
Where do I do that? In settings?
See where it says video capture device, and then there's like a gear. Yeah, click that. And if it's the Logitech one,
yeah,
then
auto.
No, it's
no, there's nothing there.
Yeah, go up. It's like a configure option.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now you
turn off autofocus.
Oh, was it already?
Yeah, it was on auto.
Okay, so now
I don't really want it on that.
Now you can monitor it in the little window there.
Yeah.
Behind what you're working in.
Yeah. I think that looks all right.
Okay, and then is it already focused?
Yep, I think so.
Okay.
It's not very bright because I pulled it back a little, but yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, now it does an autofocus. Thank you so much.
Okay, so
that's all I was trying to fix. I really appreciate your help on that. I hate to ask more, but if you have a moment, could I get some leaves or something like that? I'm fighting this cold. All right, thanks for bearing with me, everybody. Just trying to get this set up so that you can at least see something entertaining, right? So the prompt was mysterious, and I was just like, you know what? Mysterio. And years ago, I had promised a friend I'd draw him a drawing of Mysterio, so I kind of slacked on that, and I'm going to just draw this for him. So this is for David. Let's see. Kiro says that they have water in Puerto Rico, but still no electricity. Oh my gosh. That is awful. So I guess everything is pretty much running off of generators at this point, and probably fuel is the big concern. I hope we're sending enough help. That is, yeah, I hope that you guys stay all right. I'm glad you have water. That's important. Oh, thank you so much. All right, look at this. I've got water. I have to take my medicine. Thank you. That'll get me through this. Hazer says, I should have known that's Mysterio. He's my favorite villain. I think it's the design. When I was a kid, there used to be reruns of the Spider-Man cartoon from the 60s. And Mysterio creeped me out as a kid. I thought he was legitimately scary. I look back and I'm like, come on, Chris. But yeah, I was legit scared of him when I was a kid. It was the eyes that he had on his shoulders. I just could not stop looking at them. Yeah, I need to get new pens soon. I know I've said that a couple times. I've just been so busy. I was really hoping to see Blade Runner 2049 this weekend, but the way I'm feeling and everything, I just couldn't get it together. So, still haven't seen that one. I'm very curious about it. Let's see. Who was the Bat Guy from Spider-Man animated series? The Bat Guy. Who was the Bat Guy? I don't remember a Bat Guy. I'll have to keep thinking about that one. Julio says the Hellboy video was really cool. It's great to hear about comic book technique. Well, I'm really glad that you liked it. That's one of my favorite artists, so I was very passionate about it. Obviously, a little biased because I love it so much, but I'm really glad to hear that you were able to enjoy it. Thank you. I'm trying to give this guy muscles, but not too many muscles. Like it's so weird in comics because even like the wimps have physiques of gods, and it can be so hard to show some contrast there with how tough certain people are supposed to be. Yeah, not the greatest foot, but whatever. Let's see. Kiro says that fuel problem is improving and that they're using generators, and there are many towns without food and water still down in Puerto Rico. Oh my God, that breaks my heart. That is very, very upsetting. Um, Yikes. I was donating to the charity AmeriCares because I went on Charity Navigator to try to figure out like which ones had the best reputations and so on. So that was the one that had the least overhead, the best reputation for really getting the money to the people that need it. So that's what I'm donating to. I hope it's helping. What else? Rome Ticklin or Romaticklin. I'm not sure exactly how that's pronounced, but anyway, he says, "Hi Chris, first time ever on your live stream. Cool, cool." Nintendo says, "Who is your favorite Spawn villain?" Do I have a favorite Spawn villain? Let me think. I guess Violator. He's okay. I don't know that I'd say that I have a favorite per se. But I guess Violator's alright. Let's see. David Smith says, was that the one with Iceman and Firestar, or was that the one from the 70s? That's like, I guess, for the question about the Bat villain. Oh, were you talking about Green Goblin or Hobgoblin? I guess they're semi-bat-like. Is that who you're talking about? Oh, Morbius! Morbius! Jesus says Morbius. Yup, of course. Anjo is saying who's the Bat villain. Morbius. Morbius, the living vampire. He wasn't supernatural. He was trying to create a cure for a blood-like disease and or a blood disease, and he turned himself into a type of vampire that needed blood to survive. Of course. Don't know why that didn't come to me sooner. It's funny. He was invented during a time when Marvel was still trying to toe the line on the comics code, which said that you couldn't have vampires in your title and still get, like, approved by the comics code. So they created a living vampire, a guy that essentially was a vampire, except technically he wasn't. Comics history is hilarious. What else? Have you ever seen the comic book Greats with Stan Lee, the TV show? I'm not sure. Doesn't sound familiar. Doesn't sound familiar, so I don't think so. Kiro says, did you use reference books? For this one, yes. I actually have a few reference books that I picked up when I was in Japan. There was an art store that was like dedicated to manga artists. It had like floors that were nothing but like Zipatone sheets and reference books of poses. And I did use one for this. That store was incredible. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but maybe Chrissy does. She was the one that wanted to visit it to look at art supplies for painting and stuff. Boy, that was so cool. How there can be an art store dedicated to comic book supplies, or at least a floor of it was. I don't know that I've ever really seen anything quite like that here in the U.S. Get my hand out of the way in just a sec. Get into the part that I'm most nervous about, which is trying to get this exact sort of bowl. But no point in putting it off forever. Let's see. First, I'm going to use my pencil to be sure that I'm doing the right thing here. Let me see what people are talking about in the chat. Hanja says that yes, Morbius was who he was talking about. Ghost Dog says, what are some of the ways you used to learn to use anatomy more skillfully? Just life drawing classes. Stuff like Dr. Sketches and Drink and Draw, where you just sit around and draw people. Sakaido, Chrissy says, Sakaido was the art store we went to in Tokyo that had a whole floor of nothing but supplies for manga artists. It was heaven. I wish we had something like that here in America. I loved it. Wasn't it life force of people in the cartoon? Oh, Jesus is asking about Morbius. Yeah, in the cartoon they simplified it from blood to just he could suck life force because that was even more innocent. Roma Ticklin says, I remember the old Spider-Man cartoon where Mysterio apparently shrunk Spidey and trapped him in a tabletop amusement park. Mysterio wasn't wearing his usual costume. Oh, I don't really remember that one for some reason. Let's see. Sigmigs is curious if Marvel Studios will continue Stan Lee cameos after he dies. No. They're just an Easter egg. They'll keep making movies well after he's gone. I mean, yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, that's all right. Oh, that's right. I was busting out my pencil and then I forgot where I was. Morbius was an awesome concept, says Mike L. He can be. You know what I liked? I liked the version of Morbius that Tony Moore and Rick Remender used in the Frankencastle Punisher story. He looked like a total creep. I don't know. I just really liked that design. That was pretty cool to me. Okay, so that goes like that. This goes around. That goes more straight, right? Okay. And I need this. I need this. Thinking things through here. Be with y'all in just a moment. So, like that? No, that's too big. I gotta think this through. Mark Bariner says, "Can you share your Bloody Mary recipe?" Yeah, Kettle One vodka and V8 Bloody Mary mix. It was pretty simple, but it was good. It was actually not bad. Kudos to V8 for making something that wasn't too bad. The Burning One said, "Is this something you made or something I've never seen before?" This is a Spider-Man villain called Mysterio, so I didn't create him. No, I'm drawing him in his classic costume. Anja says, "I wish Paul Giamatti would return as Rhino." I mean, maybe. He is a good actor, but I don't think that's going to happen. Hello to Mundo dos Desenos. Who designed Mysterio? Was it Ditko or Ramita Sr.? Pretty sure it was Ditko. Pretty sure. Chrissy says, "I know his Bloody Mary mix or Bloody Mary recipe. It's 1 part store brand Bloody Mary mix, and that's about it." Yup. It was a very simple recipe because I'm feeling so bad this week. I feel so sick, and I just didn't have it in me to, on top of that, get a bunch of different ingredients and mix something together. I just did not have that in me. I wish I did, but I feel terrible. Just thinking some things out, folks, and low energy, so appreciate you bearing with me. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad, right? I don't think so. All right, we'll see. Oh, I just realized I am not in the chat window. Let me fix that. Mundo says, "Is it the flu you've gotten?" Yeah, I remember you, Mundo. Absolutely, I remember you. Thank you for coming back. I don't think it's the flu. In the industry, we tend to call it con crud. It's just the sort of general cold you get after attending a big Comic-Con. So I don't know where any of my like sort of oval templates or anything are, but normally I'd probably use a template for this because I'm just sort of eyeballing it, and it's probably not going to be quite right. But my goal here isn't necessarily to get this perfect so much as work on my techniques. So I'm giving myself a small pass there. Hope that makes sense. Some Jack Kirby fans claim he created Spider-Man, but I know it was Steve Ditko. I've heard that. That like, yeah, supposedly Jack Kirby had done some sort of a design for Spider-Man that wasn't really used. But you know what? In light of hard evidence, I'm not going to take that away from Steve Ditko. Anything's possible, but I think that enough time has passed that we'd know the story by now, I think. What else are people talking about in this chat? Let's see. Do you collect any other figures besides the Nika Jason from a few days back? I do. I collect two things. I collect the Hot Toys figures for Marvel Studios movies. It's a pretty pricey habit, as those are about $300 a piece. But and I don't get every single one, but I'll get like one for each character. So yeah, I collect those, and then I also have a very strange collection. I collect versions of Donatello from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. None of the other turtles, just Donatello. I guess he's my favorite, and I'm just also amused at how many versions and variations of Ninja Turtles figures there are. So I collect those. That's about it. An average comic book channel says, do you guys think Stan Lee is a bit overrated? Is he overrated? I think there's enough criticism of him these days that I don't know if you could easily say that he's overrated. But maybe. Maybe. It's an interesting question. Mundo says, there's a homemade tea that is the solution for flu. I really don't think it's the flu. Yeah, I think I've just got a common cold. Picked up from either the convention or being on an airplane, one or the other. They're both disease factories. So I'm not sure exactly where I picked this up or exactly what I'm dealing with, but I don't think it's the flu. It doesn't feel quite that bad. What else? Roma Ticklin says, yeah, pretty sure it was Ditko who created Spidey. His costume doesn't feel Kirby-ish, if that makes sense. I agree. Jesse Marsh says he did. Roma Ticklin says, I would agree Stan Lee is a bit overrated, but is a great salesman. Well, that's true. And an average comic book channel says there's a movie that is going to be based on William Marston. Yep, that's true. Not much longer now till that comes out. And he also says that he's had the flu for about 3 weeks. He needs that tea. Karen G says, watching you draw makes me nervous. Oh, that's no good. Why am I making you nervous? Am I making too many mistakes or something? Why would it make somebody nervous? All right. Actually, I need a different pen for this. There's something about the way you hold the pen. Oh. Yeah, I sort of just grab it with all my fingers there. You know who the most unique has the most unique illustration style is Eric Larson. He sort of holds his pencil in his left hand inwards like this, but then he moves his whole arm. And I've heard that great artists use their whole arm instead of their wrist. They can just sort of like control it better with their whole arm. And I don't do that, but I admire those who can. David Smith says, I saw this Q&A with Alan Moore, and he flat out said that Stan Lee took more credit than he deserved for Marvel Comics and went out of his way to deny Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko credit. Yeah, that's been said many, many times, and it's probably true. We should consider some of the historical context. He probably gave them more credit than some other people at that time were giving the artists, but I think it's absolutely fair to criticize Stan for not giving them his artists the full credit that they deserved. I think he always put himself at the forefront as like sort of the image, the spokesperson, and what everybody associated with Marvel, and that continues today. So it's a fair criticism. I like his work. Um, I think he definitely contributed to all these characters. That's what I personally believe. But but I hear people's criticisms and I don't ignore them. What else? Uh, Nintendo says, "Are you planning on doing his smoke effects around his legs or hands?" Talking about your Mysterio. I'm probably not, because now I've looked at it and I've blocked everything out, and I probably should have left this all like sort of unfinished. Because if he has smoke and fog and then has these clearly defined, I've already messed up. So unfortunately, I didn't approach this quite right. So I don't think it makes much sense to do. Maybe in the future they will make a biopic of the origins of Marvel Comics. Who would play Stan Lee or Jack Kirby? I guess it depends on what age we're talking about. Um, if we're talking about somewhat older Jack Kirby, I think actor Ray Wise kind of looks like him. You might have to look that up, but he's a character actor that shows up in all sorts of stuff, and yeah, I think he has the look for older Jack Kirby. I'm not sure where to focus my energies on this drawing. Okay, I've got an idea. Uh, Maybe you have some white ink laying around? Oh, to go back and do the smoke. I do have white ink, but I'm just, yeah, it's not where my interests lie tonight, so that's another time. It's a good idea, though. It would have been better if I laid it. Well, you know what? I won't rule it completely out. In fact, I'm going to make one little correction here right now. But let me work on this, and I'll see whether inspiration takes me. So I won't rule it out. I won't rule it out yet. We'll see what happens. Mark Berner says, Sam Rockwell for Stan Lee. Yeah, I can see that. I love the way you drew his legs. That's from Mundo. Well, I'm looking at a bunch of the drawings that I've been doing, and I feel like some of them were a little static. So tonight I intentionally busted out that book of poses that I picked up at the art store, and was like looking for one that was just a little more. There was a little more depth to it all. So that's what I was going to say. All right. Roman Ticklin said that dinner's ready and he's got to go. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And I think we mostly are already subscribed, says an average comic book channel. Probably, right? I don't think I'm reaching too many people that aren't subscribed. But if I have, yes, please give some thought to subscribing to my channel. It all helps. All helps. I'm so nervous about spotting a lot of blacks. I'm no Mike Mignola, you know. Here's what I'll do. Whoa. Paul Giamatti for Jack Kirby. Oh my goodness, that's a great suggestion. Yeah, Paul Giamatti as Jack Kirby. I love it. He could, absolutely, he could do it. And Paul's a good actor, good character actor. That's an inspired bit of casting. I like it. This brush that I'm working with has just about had it. I'm going to set it aside so that I don't get tempted to use it. As long as I'm doing that, where are my other brushes that I don't want to use anymore? There. Ghost Dog says Paul Giamatti looks nothing like Jack Kirby. Oh, I think he does. I think he does enough. I think he could pull it off with the right sort of wig and stuff. I'm missing a few things, I know. Mysterio has so many lines around his costume and little details in his gauntlets. Yep. Haven't even gotten there yet. He looks... Paul Giamatti should play Jack Kirby with that weird Russian accent. That would be awesome and give the world a much-needed second dose of Rhino. Who could play Ditko? Nothing's coming to mind on that one right off the bat. That's an interesting question. Who could play Steve Ditko? Everyone I think of, I go, no, they're too old. Because you'd be doing this in their prime, you know? Who knows? I need a thicker brush. Oops, messed up a little. What's the movie you're most excited for in the new upcoming Marvel movies? Oh, well, Thor Ragnarok. That looks fantastic. I can't wait for Thor Ragnarok. I mean, what else do we have? Well, Black Panther, Ant-Man and Wasp, another Avengers movie. No, I'm looking forward to Thor the most. I like that director, Taika Waititi. He's done some really good stuff. Come back to that. Thinking like the Mysterio has a lot of lines on his outfit. I'm trying to think of how to represent that properly. Something like that will work. Yeah, that's all right. Has Mysterio's face ever been revealed? Yep, here and there. All right, Nintendo says he's got to go. Busy Monday tomorrow. I'll watch the video later and see how this awesome-looking Mysterio turns out. Good luck with your cold. Thank you. Ghost Dog says, what are some options for digital drawing for people on a budget? Well, let's see. You need something to draw on, and I would say that Microsoft Surface is priced pretty competitively. And then instead of getting like Photoshop on Adobe Creative Cloud, maybe go for what's it called? Photography Studio, because that basically gives you almost all the same tools minus a few brushes and fonts, and you can always sort of import your own. So that's something I'd consider. If you are on a budget, or maybe you already have a computer or something, but yeah, I mean, I would definitely consider using something like one of the Adobe products personally. Just I don't know how you can get around that. Does anybody else have any favorite programs to recommend? What's the worst superhero name? Worst superhero name. It's an interesting question. I can think of plenty of bad names for G.I. Joes and Transformers. I'm having trouble coming up with a really bad superhero name off the top of my head, but they definitely are out there. So let me think. It's an especially bad superhero name. The hell with it. I'm going to go with a G.I. Joe name. I think Skidmark is a pretty bad G.I. Joe name. What do you guys think? I don't think that inspires anybody. Oh, excuse me. Sorry I'm a little quiet today, guys. It definitely is a product of not feeling too well. Chrissy says, there are good quality brands of digital tablets by Chinese companies like Huawei and Huion, etc. Oh, D-Man and Doorman. Yep, those are pretty bad superhero names. Arm Fall Off Boy. Matter Eater Lad. Another Arm Fall Off Boy. Codpiece. All the characters we are mentioning, even mine, are not really bad superhero names. They're just weird characters. Well, there's something to be said there, yeah. Not necessarily bad names. They're not inspiring names. You'd think a superhero would want to sort of inspire people, right? I would think so, but I don't know. This is a fun character to draw. Not that I'm absolutely in love with what I've created, but it's a good little challenge. Harmless Tiger Man is either one of the worst or one of the best. I think you had the worst one, man. Are you using any kind of model reference, Skunk? Yeah, I looked at a photo from a book that I picked up full of references of images. Jesus, hold on, I messed up here and I got distracted. Let me think this through. I picked up a reference book of poses at an art store once, and I'm utilizing that for this project. We'll let that dry. Hey, Chris, I don't know if you can talk about this, but were you part of RCSM? Can't talk about that. Jesse Marsh says, it's good, man, but I think the front hand is bad. Yeah, I agree. Ryan Farco joins us and says, comic reviews podcast in the future? Not a podcast. Don't think I'm going to go down that path right now, but yeah, there are definitely lots more reviews coming. Mm-mm-mm. So it looks like people think that one of the problem areas is what I did with his hand over here. I did mess up there. I don't know if I can fix it, to be honest. Does not look good. Well, that's why I'm doing this, is to try to like work on problem areas, but I may have hit one that I can't repair. We'll see. I'll come back to it. Have you ever tried doing the Kirby crackle? It looks so simple, but it always is hard to funk it up. It is deceptively tricky to do it right. But yeah, I love Kirby crackle. What a fantastic design. So yeah, I've definitely attempted it before, and I'm sure I will again. This is what I get for not using a ruler. These lines are not very precise. So, yeah, running into plenty of issues tonight. Honestly, I think some of it is just how tired and sick I am. I mean, I'm so sick right now that I'm having a really hard time concentrating as much as I should be. But I'm not here to make excuses, just explaining what's going on. I'm not feeling too good. Just trying to do my best and learn from this. Hopefully that makes sense. Some questions. Do you plan on doing interviews with any notable artists of the industry? I would say that is a long-term plan for my channel if I get enough of an audience. I would very much like to use the connections that I have, I guess you'd say, in the industry to do a type of detailed interview with people. Sort of documentaries, really, more than anything else. Mini documentaries on people's technique and their work process. Not just the results, but their actual process. So that's something I'd love to do, but I don't really want to mix it in with what I'm doing right now, per se. It is something that I'd like to do if my channel grows and I've got an audience and I start to have sort of a bit of a budget to work with. Because right now I really don't. What's your favorite childhood comic? Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man. Kiro says, perhaps Kevin Eastman and George Perez for interviews. Well, that would be fun. An average comic book channel says it sounds interesting, my idea. Any tips for new YouTubers? Focus on some of the technical aspects so that your product is watchable, as in the lighting and the sound. I still have quite a ways to go there personally, but it's important to not to ignore that stuff and to, like, you know, get it right. And then basically just keep to a regular schedule. I'm not saying that it has to be daily or weekly, but you have to keep making content. I don't mean that you can't take a break. I just mean that you have to be regular if you're going to be a YouTuber, that people expect regular content or they get bored and leave. So it's all about good communication with your audience, saying like, look, I need a small break. I'll see you in a week, or I'll see you in a month, etc. I personally think the hand looks fine. You're doing really well. I'm enjoying this video. Well, that's nice. I see some areas that I'm not too big a fan of, but I'm trying. I'm trying to get better. You know, I'm gonna try to be brave and throw in some black and where I think that there should be shadows, and we'll see how it goes. Might ruin the drawing. Might, if I do it right, make it look better. We'll see. Going to take a look in just a second at whatever questions I'm missing. All right, let's see. Mike L says, even if it's not perfect, who cares? It looks great. Well, that's true. I mean, you have to be willing to, you know, accept that you're not perfect. But I don't want to give up. So I want to get better. That's my big goal with drawing this stuff. So I do want to be better. I do want to improve. We'll see. But you're right. You shouldn't be too hard on yourself. It's the imperfections that make things what they are. Mark Bariner says, you've lived quite a few places. What is your favorite football team? Oh, great. You're just going to make me lose a bunch of viewers, aren't you? Well, I was born and raised in Massachusetts, a little south of Boston, so the New England Patriots are my favorite team. And I get a lot of crap for that because I've lived in other cities. I mean, whatever. What can you do? Who's your favorite character to draw, and do you have any originals? Either Batman or Spider-Man are my favorites because of how you can contort them into all sorts of cool action poses. Those are both guys that I like a lot. As far as originals, I mean, I've got some ideas for characters that you know, I'll pitch here and there, but nothing too exciting worth mentioning at this point. Oh, I had mentioned a few videos again that I had a pitch at Image that they were thinking about for several months, but they ultimately said no. So they said not right now, that the market is a little too saturated with my idea. So maybe I'll look at some other publisher, because they definitely took their time thinking about it, which was encouraging to a degree. I know I'm missing a few things. Ryan says, "Hey, I'm from Massachusetts too." Well, how you doing, Paul? Have a clam chowder on me, all right? I'm missing something. Guys, good night. I need to take some sleep. Have to work in a few hours. Oh, get some sleep, Mundo. Thanks for stopping by. Joseph Grau says, practice makes perfect. Draw every day and achieve greatness. Make Jack Kirby proud. Yeah, well, I sort of understand my limitations, but it's not going to stop me from... I enjoy drawing, you know, so even if I'm not great, I'm always going to draw, so I might as well try to get better. Might as well. What else? Who do you think is the DC equivalent to Spider-Man? Firestorm or the Flash. If you make a comic book, I will buy all the issues. Thanks, Geek Workshop. Let's see. Spider-Man was basically all I would draw as a kid when I was learning muscle structure. He is fun to draw. Him and Venom were my go-to guys. That's from Mike L. Could you give a little information on what your idea was, says the Ghost Dog. In terms of my comic book pitch that I just had out, I don't want to give the plot summary or anything, but it was a sci-fi idea with a lot of action. Doesn't really give you much to go on, I know, but I still want to pitch it somewhere else because they didn't think it was bad. They just didn't think that now was the right time for them to do it. So I might still pitch it somewhere else. We'll see. Appreciate you showing interest. Hope you understand that I don't feel like talking about it in detail right now. But this stinks. Boy, I do not care for how I went with this. I'll come back to that. Jesus says, what's a series you liked at the beginning and then it just started to become bad? I like that question. Let me think. What's something I liked in the beginning and then it became bad? I mean, all I can think of are serialized superhero comics, and that just means that the creative team changed up and I lost interest. You know, because I don't get too many superhero books anymore. I kind of lost interest in a lot of it, especially, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Can't think of anything great to mention right now. Let me keep thinking about it. It's a good question. It's a really good question the more I think about it. Like, what makes you give up on something? I'll have to keep thinking about that one. Are comic pitches usually just a script or is it an example chapter, says CSNG? Pitches are normally a full script for at least one issue, a summary of where it's going. They have to know what they're investing in, and then maybe at least 5 or 6 consecutive pages showing off the overall premise. That's what I would say is the minimum for a pitch. So yeah, good luck. The Ghost Dog says, I get it. I had an idea for a dimension-traveling hobo with talking boots. So that's something. Lobo says, have you ever completely imitated another artist just to try and learn from them? When I was very young, absolutely. I was trying to draw like Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane when I was a little kid. That was, I think everybody probably does that when they're young, tries to draw what they like and what they know. And I do think that you can learn something from it. You don't want to keep doing that because you'll just never really learn yourself. But I think that everybody starts out that way. And at a certain point, you turn to life, drawing from life, and then you might come back to looking at other artists that you really admire, but you'll have an understanding of what they're trying to do. Where before you were just looking at the technique, now you might look at the form. So, yeah, I think that you can always learn something from looking at artists that you like. There's no question. Trying to fix up some problems. Really give this some thought. This brush is dying. Spider-Man Clone Saga, says Mike L. Actually, that did make me give up on reading a bunch of comics for a while. I was just like, you know what? This isn't speaking to me at all. I'm out. It just, comics cost too much to let yourself buy stuff that's crap. What else are people talking about? Which do you like more, Avengers or X-Men? I'm inclined to say Avengers movies and X-Men comics. So, since I'm inclined to say that, I'll say that. Avengers comics, Avengers movies, X-Men comics. But they both have their place in my heart. Jesus says, I have to go to sleep right now. I'll watch it later. Sucked it had to be my favorite villain, but I like the drawing. Thanks. What's the most underrated comic book, in your opinion? Asks Geek Workshop. Well, if we're talking about what's out today, I'd say anything by Brubaker and Phillips. For instance, Kill or Be Killed. And if we're talking all time, that's a much harder question, and I'd have to give that some serious thought. Not sure off the top of my head. This is a mess. Folks, you're looking at a mess. I was happy with the form that I had started with, but I'm not too happy after I added these lines. Oh well. I guess that's life. Jesse Marsh says, do you like David Finch's work? Absolutely. Great director. I don't know if he's ever made a bad movie. Let me think. And I'm not trying to say that every single one is perfect, but yeah, he's a very good director, very talented. I can't think of one that he's made that I've disliked personally. And I especially liked Fight Club. Although now that I think of it, I haven't watched that in a long time. I wonder if it holds up or if now the message is kind of creepy. I'll have to think about that one. Chris, have you seen the new Mutants trailer? It looks awesome. That's from Akku. I did see it. And I appreciate that they're adapting a very good story, the Demon Bear story. But I don't know, it's not necessarily the version of New Mutants that I personally wanted. That was one of my favorite titles growing up. And I liked the kids in their costumes and training to be superheroes. It definitely could be good. It's a little strange also that they decided to change Cecilia Reyes, who is clearly like an Afro-Latino character. She looks kind of white in the trailer. I don't know what to make of that. That seems strange. I mean, hopefully it's good. At least they're trying something different. Missed something. Kiro says that he has to go to sleep. Till the next one, bye. Bye, Kiro. Hope you get power back soon. Keelan Powell says, this is great. Don't worry about it. I'm not sure if he's talking to me or not. Because I am not a fan of what I've created tonight. But that's okay. Let me clean some of this up, actually. I think I might be getting a little distracted with some of my initial pencils. Yeah. And made a couple mistakes in here. Sometimes it's a losing effort to try to save a drawing that has some fundamental underlying problems, but I'm not necessarily trying to do a great illustration so much as learn some techniques, practice, become faster. So to a degree, I'm giving myself a pass with some of these mistakes because I'm not intending these for publishing. You know, this is just me practicing. But I don't really love this. Keelan. Well, thank you, Keelan. That's very nice of you. Mike L says, I'm never too impressed with my work to the point that I don't even want people to see it. Don't worry, man. You're better than me, and I hear that I'm good. Well, that's kind of you. Thank you. We'll see. Yeah, there's elements that I like and elements that I don't like. And so that's a problem. since this leg is actually the one in the back, I'm going to go ahead and be bold and throw all of this into black. I think it might look better when I'm done. We'll see. Carve out the main muscle there. And go for it. Closer to what's right. Not perfect. Maybe a little better. We'll see. Mike L says, you can't always be proud of your work. I doubt even the greats love every cover or panel. Yeah, I hear you there. At the same time, I think that it would be nice to like it for a little while. You know, it's your latest. Hopefully, you've implemented some of the techniques and ideas that you wanted to, and it just, you know, after a little while, then you're like, okay, now I only see the problems. But hopefully, you like it for at least a little while, right? I'd like to like my work more. And sometimes I do. But I have to really plan things out to get it to a point where I'm comfortable with it. Yeah, never mind. And the stuff that I'm doing for Inktober, I'm trying to see if I can get better at drawing faster and not having to rely so much on pre-planning. I mean, you always have to plan, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, not as much reliance. But I don't know. Maybe that's just not the way I personally work. Maybe I always just need to do a little pre-planning, and that's okay. We'll see. Jesse says, I'm thinking about making a book out of my Inktober stuff, but I don't know who would buy it. Well, I don't know, Jesse, but I'm sure that there's somebody out there that would. People like art, and the trick is finding your audience. But, yeah, there's somebody out there that probably will like it. Never know till you try. So maybe just print a small amount so you don't feel like you're necessarily losing money on it, and see where it goes. See who you meet. You could try to sell it online. You could go to like your local comic book or bookstore and see if maybe they'll take a few on commission. Something like that. Might be worth asking. Just brainstorming. Want to see all of you succeed. think you could do it. Geek Workshop says, do you listen to music while reading comic books? I've tried, didn't like it. No, I can't really listen to music when I'm reading, but when I'm drawing, if I wasn't talking to you, I would be either listening to music or podcasts, because I can get lost more in the artwork when I work that way. But no, not when I'm reading. Can't do it. And an average comic book channel says, I read my comic books in total silence. If my siblings are too noisy, I will move to another room even sometimes. Yeah, I get it. Mike L says, I've had this killer idea for a graphic novel for a few years, and I was wondering if there was any way to shoot the idea your way for some feedback. It's pretty involved. Yeah, you can do that. Let me give this small piece of advice that I would give when I was teaching a writing for comics class. I used to do that. You need to have what's called in Hollywood an elevator pitch ready, as in you need to be able to sum up your idea in a couple sentences for when you have like a quick, unexpected meeting with somebody, as in it's this meets that. Hope if you can describe your idea in one phrase or just like 2 to 3 sentences, you've got it down. If it needs more than that, then you can't then your idea is too convoluted. You need to be able to definitely like sum up. And that's not to say that there's not world building and character arcs and interesting plot twists that you want to relay to people. But that should not be part of your overall pitch. Like if you need to be able to get to the elevator pitch. You say it's this meets that, and it's called an elevator pitch because that hooks their interest. Okay, tell me more. Give 2 or 3 sentence summary about the overall idea. Oh, that's not bad. Let's have a meeting or send me a formal proposal. And that's where you send them like maybe the full story. So that's the elevator pitch. Give that some thought. I don't know, man. I feel the opposite. I always dislike it at first, and then after some time, start appreciating it. That's Mike L. talking about artwork. Yeah, I could see that. It's not how I personally think, but I get it. Like, you know, you're going to be more objective about even your own stuff once you've had some time away from it, some time to sort of forget what it is, and then you can like have some objectivity instead of being subjective about it. You can like say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, and have that make sense when you can get some time away from whatever you've created. That could be music, that could be a drawing. Hopefully it's not something that you baked, like a cake. You definitely don't want to like bake something and take some time away from it and come back like in a couple weeks and see what you think of it. But aside from that, no, seriously, like writing and drawing and music, it all benefits from having some time away. So like whenever you're working on a project, like a long-term actual sort of project that you want to have seen in the world, give yourself some time to set it aside and not deal with it for a day or two at least, and then be able to sort of pull it out and look at it with at least somewhat fresh set of eyes. Hopefully that makes sense. I hope it does. This is too small of a pencil. Jesse Marsh says, I would enjoy some advice for my art. If you can check out my art on Jesse Draws 808 on Instagram. I will try to remember that. I can't promise it, though, because I'm not at 100%, but I'll try to remember that. Jesse Draws 808. Okay. I'll try to remember that. Folks, since so many of you are asking me questions and stuff like that, it probably makes sense to follow me on Twitter. Chris Piers, Piers. That way, if I forget or something, you can hit me on Twitter. That's the best way to reach me. And I can't promise that I can look at absolutely everybody's idea, depending on how busy I am that particular week. You know, I've got a real job, and sometimes I'm pretty busy. But I will make an effort to look at it as long as I have time. So you can, if you want me to take a look at art or writing, I can try to take a look. But just hit me up on Twitter, at Chris Piers. And just be patient with me. And keep in mind, I don't work in the industry, you know, so take any advice I have with a grain of salt. I don't consider myself as working in the industry. I mean, no. But if you want an outside opinion, that's always valuable, no matter who it is. It could be your sister, it could be your parent, it could be your roommate, it could be whoever, coworker, anybody that's willing to take a look at your work as an outside opinion. Just take it with a grain of salt. All right. An average comic book channel says, I think you should make a video about how legacy characters are dealt with in superhero comics. I think that that's a very good idea. I think that that is something that I should probably take a look at some point. How legacy characters have been dealt with. Because I think that there's a lot of different ways that they've been dealt with, actually. And the only consistent thing is that they don't always seem to last forever. But neither does anything in comics. It always reverts to the status quo in superheroes. Just keep that in mind. No matter what, it will always revert to the status quo. So, if you don't like something, just be patient. Mike L says, 2 stories running co-linear that seem to be different stories with minor connections. You find out towards the end that the hero of story A is the villain of story B. Same with the villain. It's a good idea. That's a really good idea for a twist. There's more to it, but that's the big reveal in my elevator pitch on the fly. Fair enough. CSNG says I'm interested. Yeah, I'd want to know. I think in an elevator pitch, I'd want to know maybe the setting and the genre, but that's close, man. And for doing it on the fly, kudos. That's definitely an interesting idea, and I promise not to take it. Boy, how awful would that be if I just had a channel where I let people like talk about their ideas, and then I just went out and took them. Oh my God. Well, but this is a document of when somebody else created it in a sense, so I think that would protect you. So I think you're protected there in terms of it being your idea, because this is being live streamed and it's date stamped. So congrats. Oh, it's already been over an hour. Wow. Are there any superheroes with a romantic relationship with a villain? Anti-heroes like Catwoman don't count. Superheroes with a romantic relationship. I'm thinking. And anti-heroes don't count. So I can think of anti-hero examples. But if they don't count, No, I can't really think of one. Unless they're an anti-hero. That would be a very delicate balancing act, because if they're truly a villain, can you really root for a superhero that's ongoing romantic relationship with them? Because then they're not stopping a villain. That makes them a villain, in my opinion. Tricky question. Yeah, nothing comes to mind. Maybe somebody else out there has an idea, though. Oh, I can tell that it's been an hour because my cat is begging to be fed. Alright, hold on. So, probably can't go too much longer. I'll have to feed my cat. Cats, plural, but one of them is really hungry. Deadpool and Shikla? Batman and Catwoman recently got engaged. Yeah, but Catwoman is more of an anti-hero, so that doesn't really count, right? Green Arrow and Black Canary? No, I don't think any of these count. Karen G says the good stuff. What's the good stuff? What are we talking about here? I've lost the thread. I've lost the thread. I've been lost in my own world, drawing, and I lost what we were talking about. Oh, folks, I hope I feel better soon. You deserve like a host that's a little more together. Oh, I am struggling here. I'm gonna pass out as soon as this is over, at least for a while. What scares me is I've got work tomorrow and I don't feel like I've got enough like time off saved up really. I feel like I should really go into the office, but feeling like this, it's just scary to think about doing that. They won't really want me there because I can get other people infected with whatever I've got, but they also need the work that I can do. Decisions. Why must I be an adult? Only I was totally rich. There you go. If you're rich, you don't have to worry about anybody else but yourself. Right? I couldn't be like that. I've got this stupid conscience. I care about other people. Lame. Geek Workshop says, just recovered from being sick as well. Who else? Whoops, I missed a few questions here. Karen G says, a question. Would you draw for a living even if it involved drawing something you absolutely hate? No, I couldn't do that. I couldn't mix my two things together like that. I mean, I love drawing, but if it was for something I hate, like maybe a cause that I didn't believe in or something, couldn't do it. Nope. There are other jobs. There are other things I can do. It's tempting, but no. No amount of money really makes it worth it if you hate it. And that was the key word that I picked up on, is hate. Mike L says, so story A is the classic hero-villain cat and mouse, and story B is more the character study. Yeah. Sounds cool. Sounds unique. Should definitely pursue it. D. Mario says, wow, surprised I'm catching you live. Well, don't be surprised. I've been pretty consistent with being on at the same time every day. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but I can at least try to be consistent. But welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. I probably won't work that much longer because I really need to feed my cat and technically myself. My appetite is completely shot since I feel sick, but that's kind of good, right? There's a good way to diet. Just get super sick. Maybe I'll just get sick all the time. Just start eating dirty things out of the garbage every once in a while. Go, time to lose some weight. Honey, take me over to McDonald's. I'm going to eat out of the garbage can and get sick this week. I want to lose 3,500 pounds. So I got to get extra sick. I completely forget what these eyes look like. I'm going to look up Mysterio real quick. I know that he's got eyes there. I don't really remember exactly what they look like. Okay, images. An average comic book channel says, how long is this series going to last? How many change? Oh, he's talking to somebody else. Okay. Karen G says, what? Being a decent person is great. Don't sell yourself short. Being a good person is underrated. No, I know. Don't worry. I'm just being sarcastic. I'm a very sarcastic individual. I don't mind being a good person. It's the only way I know how to be. What is, okay. So he's sort of got hooded eyes, tired eyes. Folks, my cat is so mad at me right now because I haven't fed him on time. If you ever want a clock that's always right, get a cat, because they always know what time they're supposed to get fed. They know. They know very well. Gotta wait, buddy. I'm talking to a bunch of interesting people that like art. You can just wait. Mark Bariner says, Sue Storm and Namor. Namor was a villain at the time. That's close. Yeah, close. But I mean, Namor had been also a hero in the past, so it's hard to say. Is Namor ever really a hero? I know he's worked with heroes, but has he ever really been one? Yeah, I think he has. I think in his self-titled Namor series, he was explicitly just a good guy. I think that when he was on the Avengers, he was purely a hero. I mean, he's a jerk, but I think he was a hero. Marvel's been a little inconsistent with how they treat Namor. I like him as a hero. I do. I don't think he's that interesting of a villain. I think he's a much more interesting hero. So if I was ever writing Namor, he'd be a conceited jerk, but he'd still be a hero. I mean, he's a leader, and he does have compassion for people. I don't know. I feel like he's been very inconsistently written over the years, so it might be a moot point being invested in writing him as a hero. Maybe there's no point, but to me, he's a hero. That's how I see him as a hero. Mark, I know. I was wondering kind of the same thing since they said he was a villain at the time. Yeah, I don't know. Sounds like you have some folks that are interested in your idea, Mike. So don't give up. Keep pursuing it. Keep that momentum going. As soon as you've got interest, now it's time to find the right artist and pay them what they're worth and start pitching. It's almost that time, right? So you got people interested. Don't let them forget. Don't let them get bored. I'm sort of just teasing a little bit, but that's good that you've got that kind of interest. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to find the right way to make myself comfortable with this before I take off for the night. I just want it to look okay to me at least. Whatever. Well, probably not going to be completely happy with this no matter what, so I think it's about time to wrap it up. There's definitely some things I would have approached differently. I think I had penciled in some good musculature here, and then I just wasn't sure how to shade it. So I should have thought about my light source from the beginning. I hadn't. So I would think that through. And I would have given some thought to how I was going to light this. So the leg and the head, I would have given some thought if I were to do this again. But whatever. That's what I learned. That's what this is for, is to learn where I could have done something better. So I will pre-plan my light sources a little bit better in the future. It's been really fun talking to all of you. Geek Workshop says, who's your biggest inspiration? These days it's my fiance. She's such a good artist, and she just produces amazing artwork. So just being around that is honestly very inspiring. Be around people that inspire you. And my friends. When I see what my friends can create, like I don't want to name drop, but there's some professionals that work in comics, and the stuff that they produce inspires me. So just being around others is what inspires me. Let's see. Karen G says, what do you think about human creativity and extended copyright laws? For example, in comic books and the Disney ownership situation, Disney has been known to push copyright for over 100 years. Doesn't that lead to stagnation? Quite possibly. Yeah, we really need to think that through in terms of like what a corporation owns and for how long. because there almost isn't such a thing as the public domain anymore if these companies are able to just keep renewing their trademarks and their copyrights indefinitely. And that's not really fair to the creator or the family in a lot of situations. Something worth thinking about for sure. Um, Not sure. It does lead to some stagnation, I think. Let's see. Yeah, you've got two different shade angles, it looks like, but still the technique itself is good. Well, we'll see. All right. And so if you see him as a villain, Sue Namor answers the question. That's true. All right, folks, I'm done. I got to feed my cats. I got to take some medicine, and I got to pass out like I'm almost dead. I'm looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible tomorrow or in the future. I'm calling it a night. Thank you very much for being with me, and until we meet again, keep reading comics.